Hey guys, it's Tim coming at you with a brand new Marvel film related video for this week. And if you want to hear more videos about Marvel Comics on film, feel free to click that subscribe button and the bell next to it so you can be immediately informed whenever a new video goes up. So one thing that's been in all the trailers for Spider-Man Homecoming that's gotten a fairly mixed reception is the heavy involvement of Tony Stark in the story, or at least the seemingly heavy involvement. With the big complaint being that Tony's presence removes agency from Peter himself, since Tony's providing him with equipment that in the comics he made himself. So the question for this week is, how involved should Tony be in the plot of Spider-Man Homecoming, and in the growth of Spider-Man in general in the MCU? So what do we know about Tony's involvement so far? Well, we know that he provided Peter with the suit and the new web shooters that he acquired in Civil War that he's using at least at the beginning of Spider-Man Homecoming. We know that he's monitoring Peter and providing him with advice and support in some capacity, and we know that he's urging Peter to not get in over his head and face threats that he's not ready to face yet. With that said, in the comics, clearly at the point that Peter is right now, in high school, this relationship didn't exist. So Peter had to learn and grow on his own to become the Spider-Man that we know today. But there is a problem with this in the comics at the very least. Despite his catchphrase being "with great power comes great responsibility," Peter didn't really become more responsible as he aged. He constantly blames himself for stuff that isn't inherently his fault. He didn't even have life insurance despite constantly going out and risking his life. And the big capper, One More Day, where he traded his marriage to save his dying aunt. And yes, these personality faults in Peter is what makes him so relatable to the audience that's reading him. But his inability to learn from his mistakes gets kind of frustrating over time. And this mentorship by Tony could actually be a remedy for that. And it's not like there's no precedent to Tony having this role in Peter's life, because in the lead up to Civil War, Peter was living in Avengers Tower with Tony, and Tony sort of took on a mentor-father style relationship to him, and provided him equipment like the Armor Spider costume, like he's doing here in the movie. Granted, that was much later in Peter's career than what's being shown in the movie, but I still feel that Tony having some presence could be helpful to Spider-Man's growth. Because outside of being a guiding force, Tony is also an obstacle for Peter to overcome to become a true hero. The trailers give off every indication that Tony is trying to push Peter to be the best version of Spider-Man that he can be. But right now he's younger, more naive, and not experienced enough to be the kind of hero that he needs to be. So by Tony putting all these restrictions on him and taking his suit away when he fails, he's sort of expediting Peter's growth, because he's either going to be crushed under the weight of fighting villainy and all the restrictions Tony's putting on him, in which case he's probably not worthy of being Spider-Man at all, or he's going to rise above it and become better than he was before and really prove himself to both himself and to Tony. So I think it's a good thing to have Tony in this movie, but really just this movie. Because once Peter proves himself, Tony really doesn't have much of a direct role anymore. So he can back off and let Peter grow solely on his own once he's proven that he's ready to do that. So Peter will have the lessons that he learned from this movie, but be able to move forward solely as his own independent character in future movies and sequels. But those are just my thoughts on the topic, so what do you guys think? Do you think that Tony should play an active role through the whole Spider-Man series? Do you think it should be limited to this movie? And if so, how much do you want him to be involved in how much Peter grows? Well, as always, let us know down in the comments. And like I said at the beginning, if you're interested in hearing more Marvel film-related videos, feel free to click that subscribe button and the bell next to it so you can be immediately informed whenever a new video goes up. But until next time, this has been Tim from the Hybrid Network, signing out.